Learning objective 2. Describe the elements that must be proven in tort litigation and potential defenses to those torts. Now, torts are huge. If you watch TV at all, I'm sure you've seen lawyer ads, and personal injury lawyers or lawyers suing for medical negligence or for faulty products. Those all fall under torts. So a tort is a civil wrong other than a breach of contract for which the law can provide a remedy. And there are basically three types of torts. There's negligence. Someone was damaged due to the negligence of somebody else. Intentional torts. That's when someone deliberately causes injury. In strict liability, that's when the activity is so dangerous that they don't really have to prove the elements of negligence because there must have been something. Okay, negligence is a claim that another person's failure to act as a reasonable person, remember that reasonable person, would have acted under the same or similar circumstances, caused injury for which the injured party should be compensated with an award of damages. Okay, you're driving, your brakes are bad, but you continue to drive, and there's an accident because of your faulty brakes. So that's negligence because a reasonable person would have gotten their brakes fixed before driving the car. The elements necessary to make out a cause of action for negligence, there has to be a duty of care. In our previous example, driving on the roads creates a duty of care. Breach of the duty of care. You didn't have your brakes checked out and working properly. Causation, the fact that the brakes didn't work caused the accident. And the damages would be any medical bills or getting their car fixed or replaced. All of those would fall under the damages. Now, the negligence and the reasonable person standard. The reasonable person standard is used throughout law. It's a common term. It's the hypothetical legal standard describing how a reasonable person acts and does things sensibly and without serious delay and taking ordinary but not excessive care. And what would a reasonable person under the same set of circumstances as the defendants do? So if there was no way that you could have possibly known that your brakes were defective because someone had snipped them in the middle of the night, that would negate from negligence because the reasonable person doesn't check their brakes every night. Intentional torts. Okay, those are wrongs against individuals or against another person's property in which an individual acts intentionally. Now, some of these are also crimes. But the difference is with torts, you can get compensation. In criminal law, they go to jail. Sometimes people are found liable under torts and go to jail under a criminal case. So it's kind of two court cases. Some of the intentional torts against the person are battery, assault, false imprisonment, and defamation. There's a big case going on right now for defamation because an election counting machine that counts the votes, their product was dissed by Fox News repeatedly, saying that it was faulty and that was the cause of the election being faulty. And so that company is suing Fox for defamation because according to the evidence that they have been able to uncover, Fox News knew that their claims that the machines were faulty was false. So that's defamation. The damages would be that they have lost business because of that defamation. So they have calculated the cost of the business that they have lost and the damage to their reputation in monetary terms. So those are the damages. Still have to see how it comes out. False imprisonment, that could be all sorts of incidents. A lot of the cases I've seen have involved things like the mall security guards keeping somebody against their will, claiming that they were shoplifters when there was no evidence that they were false shoplifters. Intentional torts against property, conversion, that's kind of stealing. Trespass to land, that's also a tort. But remember, it's not enough that they trespassed to land. You have to prove that there were damages that happened. Defenses to torts. Well, there are legal reasons why the defendant should not be held responsible and the claim should be denied. Simple. Some types of defenses. Statute of limitations might have already run. Assumption of risk. The plaintiff did something to put themselves at risk, so it should be blamed on the other person that there was injury. Contributory negligence kind of means both parties were negligent. Comparative negligence is a legal theory that says, okay, let's say your damages were $1,000, but your negligence was 30%, while the defendant's was 70%. So we will only charge the defendant 70% of the $1,000. And consent is, you might have hit me. I guess I hit them, but they told me that it was okay to hit them, like in a boxing match. Strict liability is liability without fault. Plaintiff is not required to prove that there was a breach of duty, just that there was an injury. Now, categories of strict liabilities, these can include product liability, abnormally dangerous activities like the shipment of hazardous chemicals, or dangerous animals. Like if you keep a wild wolf as your pet and the wolf hurts somebody, then that's strict liability. You don't have to prove anything like that the defendant was negligent. Just the fact that it happened is enough. Products liability is a cause of action against the designer, manufacturer, or seller of a product. The injured person must establish that there was a breach in the standard of care in the manufacturing, inspection, packaging, and/or instructions and warnings for the product use. So, this is why we have so many, the warning labels are so prominent on products. And so then it becomes the person who was injured, did they take reasonable care in reading those warnings? Some defenses to product liability. Well, the statute of limitations ran out. This could be like a year long, and maybe the person was injured after a year and a half. Assumption of risk. They knew that this product had dangers, and they bought it anyway. Misuse of the product. This is a big one. People get injured by a product, but they weren't using it according to the directions or for its intended use. Or they somehow changed the product, and then they got injured because of the change. Okay, so that fills up. Torts we'll pick up with learning objective 3 in the next one.